Hi there, and welcome to Q&A Wednesday. It is that time again. Have a great topic to talk about tonight. First of all, really just want to apologize. It is peak week for me. Yes, I am competing this weekend. I haven't really kind of let that out of the bag yet, but apparently my coach has. So I might as well just tell you right now, I am competing in Boise this weekend at the Idaho Muscle Classic put on by Craig Productions. So I'm really depleted today and really struggling to have any energy whatsoever. But I did want to make sure that I jumped on here and got a chance to talk to you because I have a really great topic. It is something that one of my new clients, my online coaching clients, has asked about. And so I want to make sure that I answer that because I do get my best ideas from you guys. So we are going to talk about how and when you should be changing up your workouts, because that is an important part of continuing to make some progress when it comes to either building muscle or whatever your health goals are. You do need to change up what you're doing for a few reasons. So, there's a lot of philosophies on how to do that. And I'm even just talking about strength training. Hey, Adrian. Thanks. Yeah, I'm feeling really, really tiny right now. So that's what depletion does to you. So anyhow, there's a lot of philosophies, especially on strength training, on, the best way to do it, how to make gains, how to make changes. There's so much out there, and you know what? Not one way is right for everyone. And so, of course, it is up to you to do some due diligence and do some research and kind of know your body. That is part of the process, knowing how your body works. If you're new to exercise, I think it is imperative, especially if you're starting to strength train, that you get a professional to help teach you how to do it, because it is so easy to injure yourself. And especially I find even with guys that I work with who have lifted for a lot of years, and then maybe they come up with an injury, it's honestly because they don't know really good form. They've either learned from, old buddies, the whole bro factor, or, from ways that aren't necessarily the right way, or they're just not getting the results that they're looking for. And it's because of a lot of, again, the bro science. So, having somebody to teach you where you should be feeling it, what's good form. And sometimes it's not that you don't have the right form, but maybe it's not the right form for what you're trying to accomplish. So there's just really a lot of information out there. So do some research, know what you're getting into as you're getting started. And if you don't know, get somebody who can help you. And don't just go to the dude that looks like he knows what he's doing, because that is not always the case. As a matter of fact, a lot of times my clients come back to me and go, oh my gosh, I totally saw this guy at the gym and I swear he was going to hurt himself. That happens a lot. So, so here's my philosophy on how often you should change your workouts. Honestly, a couple of things. You should change your workouts if you are finding that you're not getting results, if you have plateaued on your results. And we're primarily talking about strength training, but honestly, we could talk about any sort of exercise. Even people who tend to do a lot of running or other sort of sports know that, when you get really good at something one way, you might need to change that up just a little bit in order to get some either agility or some different, power strengths, whatever, in order to be the best well-rounded in your sport. So keep that in mind, but this is primarily when we're talking about strength training, because honestly, everybody should do some sort of strength training. Even my little old ladies in their 60s and 70s come to me. They need to build a little bit of muscle, because core strength builds balance, and that's what they need in their older age, because they've got to be able to be independent. So we're primarily talking about lifting. So if you are failing to see results, if you've kind of plateaued on where you're going, if your shape isn't changing, if your strength isn't changing, you probably need to change something. Or if your goals change, because of course you lift differently depending on what your goal is. Lifting for strength is different than lifting for size, which is different than lifting for power. So if you can't, you can't have two goals with opposite agendas in the same workout. That's a big struggle. Unless you're a top athlete and you're doing things like Ironman or, something, it's really difficult. I have a lovely client who is amazing, but, sometimes he'll tell me, well, I want to get really big, but I also want to run a triathlon and I want to, do multiple things. And so, unfortunately, those things are not necessarily compatible. So you might have to pick something. But when you change your goal, you probably are going to also need to change your lifting. The current research shows that, you really should be probably changing your workouts somewhere between every 4 to 8 weeks. Now, let me tackle that in a couple of different ways, because that could be a super simple change, or it could be a complete overhaul of your workouts. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Some of the ideas that come up, because it's not just weight. Weight is the easiest variable in your workouts to change, because, if 5s are too light, you just go grab 10s. That's a pretty easy variable. It's not always the best variable. Sometimes you might be at the top of what you can lift strength-wise, but you just might need to work a little differently. And that can be things such as intensity, hand or foot placement. You could adopt a different style of lifting. Just case in point, a lot of times we'll do a negative rep, which means instead of focusing on the power up, we might be slowly focusing on resisting the weight coming down in our direction using gravity. So again, there's so many thoughts and philosophies, and I'm going to kind of give you some ideas on where to find some of those thought process. Hi, coach. My coach just popped up. He's listening to me today. Probably just wants to see what I'm doing. Still depleted, coach. Anyhow, so there's a lot of philosophies on how to adopt those, but switching up your workouts once in a while will really help keep your muscles from adapting. Now, if you are new to exercise or new to strength training, you do need to give your muscles a little more time. You need to give your body a little more time to adapt, because in the beginning, it does take some time and I had to write this thought down so that I could say it correctly without going completely crazy. Your body has to go through an adaptation phase. And so, your muscles, your nerves, your hormones have to get accustomed to the movement patterns. Your brain also has to learn how to recruit the right muscle fibers in order to do it, and also your neuromuscular coordination. So it does take you, I kind of call it the magic period. If you've never lifted before and you're just starting to lift, you kind of have this magic ability to build muscle a little easier than some of us who have been doing it for a little while, because your muscles are so sensitive, your body and your nervous system is so sensitive to what you're doing. So, it can be done fairly quickly, especially if you're brand new, to build a little bit of muscle. And of course, you know how I feel about muscle. Muscle is a natural fat burner. It helps raise your metabolism overall, even while you sleep. And not everybody wants to get big. Ladies, not going to happen. Please get over the fact. If you saw how much food I had to eat to get to the size I have, you would understand what I'm talking about. And we're talking clean food. We're not talking about pizza and junk. So, again, there's some definite benefits to building some muscle. I tell people all the time that nutrition determines size and exercise determines shape. So, ladies, curves, muscles build curves too. Not gonna lie. And I think muscle's sexy. So, my opinion, but my opinion counts. Anyhow, so just some ideas on things that you can do to change up your workout. So again, it's not always weight. It's not always completely revamping. Sometimes it's just focusing a little differently on how you lift. And some of my ideas are, again, negative reps. I kind of talked a little bit about that. Time under tension, holding the squeeze a little bit longer. Part of building muscle is learning that mind-muscle connection to make sure the right muscle is doing the right job and not using compensating muscles. Glutes are especially hard for that one, and so can hamstrings. So again, making sure that you have the right muscle doing the job and getting the good squeeze out of it in order to make those micro tears in your fibers. You could pyramid, start out with lightweight, build up till you lift a heavier weight, and then lighten back down. And that might be between 3 and 5 or even 6 sets. So depending on what you're trying to accomplish there. You could do drop sets where you lift as heavy as you possibly can, and then as you start to fail at each weight, then drop down a weight until, I love drop sets, because by the time you're done, you're picking up those 3-pound pink dumbbells and you can't even lift them. It's great. I love it when the guys, complain that I'm taking their man card. You could circuit, which means jumping back, between 5, 6, maybe even 8 exercises. And it can be different muscle groups. It can be full body, I like to switch it up once in a while just because it keeps it interesting. And that is a huge reason to switch up your workouts. If you get bored and you don't want to do it anymore, then, that's a whole negative aspect of it as well. I get bored real fast, so I like to switch it up. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't go in and do like, hey, I'm going to do chest today, that you can't do 3 different exercises for chest today that you didn't do last time. You can switch that up as long as you're utilizing the same muscle groups. It's just, if you go in and you're consistently doing the exact same workout for weeks on end, at some point you're not going to see change because you're not putting any more of an adaptation requirement on your body. So that's a big part of it. I do think it's also important every once in a while to give yourself what we call a deload. A deload is where you actually stop lifting for a couple of weeks in order to allow your body to recover and to become sensitive to what you're doing again. So if you are hitting those plateaus, maybe you need 1 or 2 weeks off. That's why, sometimes when people go on vacation, I'm like, enjoy your vacation. Stop trying to find a gym everywhere you go. No, okay, I admit that, I do that. But stop trying to find a gym everywhere you go. Sometimes you just need that break. You need that time off. And when you do come back to the gym, you'll actually lift better and more efficiently and have more energy and strength than if you just keep going. Because there is such thing as overtraining, which of course is a topic for another time, but it does happen. So a deload is always a good option as well if you're finding that you're plateauing within your workouts. So let's see. Reasons to change up your workouts. We talked about boredom. They call it shocking the muscle. I just call it putting a different load on your muscle so that it has to work differently. You have different types of muscle fibers, and they all need to be worked a little bit differently. And so, by changing up how you work, plus some of the muscles have different heads, and by attacking them from different angles, you can actually get a better, well-rounded muscle going that way. So if you're new to strength training, you might keep your workouts a little bit longer. If you're more of an intermediate strength trainer and you've been doing this for a little while, anywhere from, like I said, 4 to 6 weeks is usually about right, unless you're getting bored, and then, you can check that out. So how do you make a choice as to what your workout should change to? I highly recommend you do some research, do some reading. The internet has some great ideas. Now, again, don't go on Instagram and watch what some of those people do. Yeah, my biggest pet peeve is seeing all these little girls on Instagram going, ooh, look at me, I look cute. I'm like, yeah, but that workout is doing nothing for you. It might look cute, but you're not accomplishing much. But there are some really great websites that can give you some information, especially if you are reading from some articles or watching YouTube videos. I'm really picky when I watch YouTube videos. I want to know that the trainer that I'm watching either has an extreme background in some sort of exercise science, that he is, either a master trainer or does have a lot of extensive experience in what he's doing, because I don't want to just watch, I don't even care if they have a lot of experience with lifting. I want to know if they know the science behind what they're doing, and I want to know if they know why they're making the choices that they're making, because to me, that's going to teach me something. So again, be careful that you're not just following whoever. Even if they look great, they might have freaky genetics, and that might not be the best option for you, because some of us don't have freaky genetics. Some of us work our asses off. But bodybuilding.com, T Nation, there's a couple other ones that I get something from. Muscle and Strength, I think, is another one. I do get weekly emails from them, and they write some really interesting articles. I don't go into their what do you call it when people post questions and then random people answer it? I can't think what that's called right now. Peak week brain. That really, I don't go into that, because that's amateur people's opinions of stuff, and I don't care. If I want to know somebody's experience, I might look in there, but I want to know what the people that have more research and experience think. Like I said, I'm looking for somebody who has maybe a master's degree or so in exercise science or nutrition, depending on what I'm researching. So again, you can find some great information on that. T Nation constantly is putting out information on how to switch up your workouts, what's best for what you're trying to accomplish. Thereby, that would be a good place to go start and find something that might work for you. And then pay attention to your body. If you feel like you're getting great results from that, that's great. If you don't, maybe try something else. But guys, if I could please just ask one thing: quit worrying about how much you can lift if you don't have the form, okay? Because that's how you injure yourself. I have a client that just did so, not on my watch, fortunately, but it sucks. It sucks when you can't lift because you are not lifting correctly, or you're trying to lift too much because you're either showing off. Granted, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be able to lift a lot. I'm just saying form and doing it right. Quality comes before quantity and how much you can lift. So anyhow, again, I will be leaving for Boise in 2 days, and so I am doing my best to just stay functional. It's been kind of a rough week for me, but pretty excited about what I'm bringing to the stage this year. So anyway, hopefully that helps. If you have any more questions, I love everybody jumping on there, but I get my best ideas from you. So please leave messages. You can also contact me directly if you have a question that you're not really wanting everybody to know about. I do respond, and I hope you guys have an incredible evening, and we'll see you next week. Have a good one.